everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. Summit may be over, but we are not done podcasting. Luckily for all of you guys, we're still here. Um, Today, we are just going to talk about our summit experience last week, and we have a guest with us today, Mr. Trevor Ruich of Ellipse Solutions. So, Trevor, you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Trevor Ruich. I am the business development representative here at Ellipse Solutions. Been with the company for just about 2 years now, coming up on 2 years in December. I reside up in the lovely warm state of Minnesota. It is a nice and gloomy day out, and I'm excited to be home after the long week of Summit, but it was a fantastic time, and happy to be here to chat with you two.
Yeah, I got back. It's been warm, but we're looking at snow, our first snow in Colorado this weekend. So not sure how much or what, but Sunday we're supposed to start getting some snow. So I'll be commiserating. And then it's supposed to get warm again. You know how it works. You know, you're a Colorado native, so you know how it works here.
If you have snow for more than 5 days, you're having snow for too long.
Yep. Well, yeah. Again, Savannah said it. We're happy to be back and continue on our podcast. We thought it'd be a great way to recap Summit, bringing on, kind of our good portion of our marketing and sales team to talk about what we experienced. So, yeah, I mean, for me, this is probably I should actually have a count, but it's got to be the 10th, maybe 12th Summit since I started as an end user and then as an Ellipse employee. And in the most recent couple of years, looking back just even 2 years, it's grown substantially. And we were all at the last Summit. There was about 4,500 people there. And that increased to about 5,600 this year. So a lot of people attending, and not quite yet to the record of 8,000, which is, I think, the highest they ever saw come through, but it's getting there.
What year were they at 8,000 attendees? Do you recall?
Pardon?
Do you recall what year they were at 8,000 attendees?
My guess would be one of the final years. I mean, it was really, bumped, by the time we, the last one before pandemic was in Orlando. And it was at the Gaylord.
Yep.
So I think the same place we had it the last time, last year. So, huge amount of people. And you could tell. Although I tell you what, this one, even though it seemed like more people, I felt like it was more organized. It seemed like kind of an organized chaos. I mean, for that many people, it seemed like it went off pretty well. It didn't feel to me to be as chaotic as last year for some reason. And that could just be my own different, feeling as in a new role. But what about for y'all? Did it feel
I definitely agree with you about the chaotic feel. It definitely seemed, I think maybe the space is what kind of led to a little bit more of that success and seeming less chaotic, comparing, because this was my second Summit that I attended, and comparing last year to this year, going and trying to navigate the labyrinth that was the Gaylord to try and find the rooms that you need to get to for each session, in comparison to Charlotte's Convention Center that was fairly well laid out once you kind of once you got there and figured out there was the east and the west and then the other small annexes. It was pretty easy to know what sessions you were trying to get to, and it was fairly condensed and compact and easy to get where you needed to.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like by the end of it, I knew exactly where I was going. If I saw a session was in a certain room, I was like, oh yeah, I know where that's at. As of where last year, I felt like I was still a little lost by the end of it all. I also loved how this convention center was in the downtown area. So you could go outside, walk around, go to different places and things like that. I love that about this location. So.
Yeah, it was super pedestrian friendly. I thought.
Sorry. Go ahead, Bobby.
I would just say I felt like the downtown area, like you said, was really really pedestrian friendly. Like I said, it was nice to kind of be right in the mix of things. There was a beautiful park right across the street from the convention center that led, if you went all the way through, led to the kind of the arts district. So there's a museum and just a bunch of cool stuff on that side too. So if you wanted to get out for a minute or two, and it was beautiful weather for the most part while we were there. It was really nice. So I agree. The downtown area was much nicer than kind of being stuck in a resort at the Gaylord.
Yeah,
for sure.
The Gaylord was lovely. The inside of it was beautiful and everything, but anywhere else you had to go, you had a bus or Uber. And I love a good walking opportunity. So So I love that about it.
What were you saying, Trevor?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, one of the other takeaways that I kind of had is it felt like, for the most part, barring a couple of experiences, the rooms seemed to be a little more right-sized for the presentations that were given. Like, there were a couple like one-offs where the sizing seemed a little bit incorrect, but I feel like last year there were a lot more like overly packed rooms, and the room sizes just seemed like a little bit on the smaller side last year, and they seemed to accommodate for that a little bit better this year.
I agree. I think there was probably more modularity to the room setups, but I mean, it's hard to slot these. You never know what subject is going to pop, what's going to be popular. So I know the committee, being on the committee, we put in all the sessions, and gave them some idea of who we thought might be more popular, what sessions we thought might be more popular. But at the end of the day, DCI made the decision on where to slot things, what rooms they were in. So I definitely heard some feedback. I know we were in a lot of sessions, whether they were our own or other folks, where sometimes it was, there were 2 people in a giant room, and sometimes we had standing room only. So it is hard. I think they did a better job this year than last year, and with a better space too. And I heard a lot. There was a couple other issues. Talking about sessions. I mean, again, I think all of it was really good. I think just from a slotting standpoint, where you put sessions in, I didn't see it, but I heard there were 2 sessions on AP automation that were the same time as each other. And they should have built on each other. So it was like a level 1, level 2, and they kind of missed on that. So I think there's some good feedback on how to slot the sessions to give a little bit better flow for the attendees. But all in all, I thought that the room size were pretty good. It was warmer than I expected. Usually,
I was
expecting to wear jackets in these rooms, and it was downright hot in some of these rooms, which is unusual for a convention like this.
I mean, I know we'll get to this a little bit later, but like even half the parties that were happening were like on rooftops and outdoors, and it was a lovely environment for it. You didn't need to bundle up or anything. Charlotte in the fall, who knew? Lovely.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. What about Microsoft? I mean, this is last year we were there, and in years past I've seen more involvement. Last year there was 0. Any noticeable difference having Microsoft involved? As opposed to, last year where there was, pretty much 0 participation. Could you see that? Was it noticeable?
For me, I don't think it was as noticeable, just because I'm not as interconnected with the Microsoft community. And I'm probably going to just instantly backtrack on that, because I know for a fact I can recall like a handful of good conversations that I had with a few different Microsoft folks, running into them in the hall, sitting in when they're doing like different portions of sessions, or just being there for other presenters. Like, they were definitely there, but I guess I just didn't notice it as much last year, and it didn't seem as different. So I have a smaller pool to pull from.
Sure. Yeah. As an end user, I think that was where people really, I think, saw the difference. There were not to say they had 50 sessions, actual educational sessions added to the agenda. We set out with all the sessions that were submitted for FNO. There were just under 400 sessions submitted for FNO that we had to pare down to 100. That was our goal. So we went through quickly and got rid of a ton. Just like, hey, anything that didn't have a description, we got rid of. Like, you didn't bother to put a description on, sorry, you lose to the it's just way too many to go through. And then once we got rid of like our first wave, we still had 200 about to get through. So we had to cut that down in half. And that's where it started to get interesting, because there were some really good sessions. And then it came down to even further looking at the descriptions and the titles and who was speaking and how many times they were speaking and how many companies had, speaking slots, and, getting it down to that 115. And then, that was our number. And then Microsoft added 50 more. So we had a lot of content for FNO, because most of that Microsoft content was leaning towards FNO. There was CE too, but and maybe a few BC/GP, but it was mostly FNO leaning content. So that was a huge difference. But yeah, I mean, there was a pretty big outcry last year because there was no official Microsoft presence, and so Microsoft came back. They did come back strong, and I think it'll be stronger next year now that they've got a really good foothold. But it's good to see them back and involved again. Just having that, like you said, having that kind of access, whether or not it's at a booth or in a hallway conversation or in a session, that can be invaluable moving forward. How about you, Savannah? Any noticeable?
Yeah, I'm kind of a little bit in the same boat as Trevor. With this being my only second summit experience. Yeah, last year, I mean, I didn't know any difference. Just hearing from like what our team has said, listening to you speak, Bobby. I know for some other people, I'm sure it does make a large difference, and it's good to hear. But yeah, for me personally, I can't speak on it too much, but yeah, it's really cool that they are. Like Trevor said, I spoke to a few of them, saw a few of them. So yeah.
And everybody I talked to seemed to be pretty engaged with it too. It wasn't like you've got to go and you enjoy yourself. They really were, in awe at the size of the event and the immensity of the learning opportunity, even for themselves. So it was fun to see. You mentioned the parties. How many do you think you attended?
Oh, God, too many.
Too many. And what was the breadth of hours attended? So you attended, say you attended 8 parties. How many hours, a party was that for you?
Oh, 8 to 10 hours total. Like for the most part, I don't think I stayed at many of the parties for longer than about an hour. It was a good chunk of networking, talking with people, communicating with the ISVs, seeing friends, making new friends. Yeah, because let's see, the first night there were like a couple of ISV parties, and then I think it was a little bit quieter on the second night with like maybe one, and then the last night we had our own little small customer party that we had. Okay, 8 hours is too high, maybe like 6.
And then come on now,
party at the end.
I feel like 6 hours on the last night. What's going on? I think and I'm the me. I like to do the gym. Halpert, get there, get a picture or two, shake a few hands, and then get out early. So people know I was there. You make a splash, but then you slide out the back door before anybody notices you're gone.
Like the Gregor approach, seeing him actually show up at what was it? It was the Dynamic Web and Explogix and whoever else.
Yeah,
seeing Gregor show up to a party, I'm like, okay, now we know if something's actually happening. If
I'm pretty sure
man is dragging himself out past his bedtime.
Right, exactly. He was like 9:30 when I got that picture. I think I was averaging 2 per night myself. Like I said, it was like 1 or 2 opportunities. There was one night I think we had 3 different things going on, just a little bit here and there. That might have been, and I didn't go to the final GP party. I was pretty done by Thursday night.
Yeah.
If you saw me at the airport on Friday, I was curled up waiting for my plane to arrive, just trying not to fall asleep, but wanting so badly to fall asleep. And praying. I was on a plane with about, it seemed like the whole plane was going to be Dynamics experts. I was like, I literally told the person next to me, I was like, God, I'd love to talk to you, but I'm going to sleep. Sorry. I just need to get this rest going now.
Yeah.
I don't think I can take another 4 hours of chatting. And I love to chat. I was ready for the week to come down and get back to the fun stuff of following up and reflecting. So
Savannah, what were your thoughts on the parties?
Yeah.
What's that?
What were your thoughts on the parties this year?
They were a lot of fun. I went to about 2 on Tuesday night, like the Derby party. That one was a lot of fun. I didn't have the winning duck, unfortunately, but
do they have a duck water race? I didn't make that one. They have a duck water race kind of thing, or what kind of duck race was
they went around and they gave you ducks, and each duck had like a number on the bottom, and they kind of drew.
Okay, gotcha.
Number, you got to win a
and
prize.
that was our friends at Dynamic Web that put that party on, Sarah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, that was a fun idea. And then I went to like Avalara's party, the rooftop. That was really pretty.
Yeah.
And yeah, of course the NASCAR party. That was a lot of fun.
That was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was awesome. And then of course our own happy hour on Thursday. So I don't think I partied as hard as like Trevor did, but I got out there a little bit.
Hey, what stays in Charlotte?
What happens in Charlotte stays in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Just like
there
Vegas.
was tons of rooftop events. Like there was like a lot. I mean, I guess most downtowns have that, but I don't know that Denver doesn't have a ton of rooftop bars that I can think of. Maybe it's because it's colder.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, Minneapolis has a ton of rooftop bars, but they're really not doing as much in the fall and
Yeah, I
winter.
guess so. Yeah.
But like, yeah, being able to like have some outdoor space and just like see the whole city and see the skyline, it's a great venue, and all the ISVs and the other partners who had their parties doing those, like they crushed it. That was a
Yeah.
great space for it. So kudos to everyone all around.
Yeah, I mean, even though ours was in a rooftop, I think our happy hour was actually pretty fun. Everybody seemed to be having a good time. It was really open and chill. It wasn't crowded and super
Yeah.
noisy. So it was actually a really good atmosphere for, I think, a final day kind of chill out kind of event. So good job on that place. And, although they weren't quite ready for us, but even though they said they
That's
would
okay.
they were used to 2 or 3 little old ladies and men coming down for an evening,
Yeah, little
Bloody Mary
nightcap.
or something. The nightcap, yeah.
Yeah.
What about Expo Hall? I spent very little time at our booth. I'll be honest, I had so many meetings. But it seemed like we had really good booth traffic. It seemed like the traffic flow and the Expo Hall was set up pretty nicely.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Savannah.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, we had decent traffic throughout. You're always going to have those lulls throughout, depending on, what sessions are going on and everything. But yeah, I felt like we got to chat with a decent amount of people, got to meet some new people. And yeah, I love just browsing around the expo hall as well, seeing all the giveaways everyone has, seeing what their booth setup is. There were some really fun ideas, like our neighbors had that racing.
That was wild. Yeah, they had
so,
the constant race car, race track going. That was pretty fun.
Yeah. I think we're gonna have to step up our booth game next year for sure.
If Brent's watching this, and he better be, be on the lookout next year in San Antonio. I'm not sure what the theme will be yet, but we got to figure something out.
Definitely.
No, I feel
it seems. What about you? What did you think, Trevor?
I feel like the Expo Hall, maybe it was just where we were last year. It just seemed more lively. It seemed like there was more things happening. There was just there was a lot of good conversations happening all over the place. We were surrounded by other partners, and their booths were always busy. Our booth was usually pretty busy. We had some folks there, like Savannah mentioned, having a neighbor who has a really big, rambunctious attraction just helps get a little extra foot traffic in your own door. But there was lots of movement. It always seemed like kind of positive and happy. And like everyone was just like excited to be in there and like happy to be around in the space. I think I'm torn on like having sessions and expo hours at the same time, but I think like it actually kind of worked out well when there was a little bit of that overlap. The people who were coming through the booth actually like had more genuine conversations, wanted to actually like understand the products and the offerings, or like if you're talking about Ellipse, like our methodology and how we work. So like it was a very valuable expo hall time from my perspective.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And as an end user, just as an end user perspective, if I were going as an end user, I would look for sessions or spots where I could, dip out on a session and go to Expo Hall and meet with people, because I know it would be less crowded. So to your point, I think somebody mentioned I would have more, more attention from the folks in the booth. It wasn't as crowded. So I would specifically find an hour or two throughout the event just to say, I'm going to hit Expo Hall during these hours, not do a session, and then really target the people I wanted to see. So they were more meaningful conversation as opposed to I'm just dropping by to get some swag conversation.
Absolutely.
That's not to say that people, which is fine. I mean,
not to say that people didn't show up and like grab some koozies, but like,
yeah. The koozie yoink, they call it. You walk by slowly, yoink, and run.
Exactly.
So
but having those more valuable conversations is definitely very helpful on all sides of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else standing out? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, how did you guys feel about like the welcome reception being on the expo floor? I thought it was kind of cool.
I thought it was nice. I mean, appreciate the partner that sponsored that, but like at the end of the day, I mean, it was good to be in a space that was around everyone, and we were able to like still do some more networking and talk with folks. I think it would have been a little bit better if we didn't necessarily have to always be right next to the booth or feel as though we couldn't like wander around and like see more of like the ISVs and some of our other partners that we work with. But at the end of the day, there was plenty more expo time to deal with that and to network like that and to meet with our partners. So it was a good venue for it. There's a lot of space, and I'm not going to complain about a free drink or two here or there.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, last year was out on that lawn, which was really cool, but having it in the, even though I think the expo hall seemed to be a little bit more busy, obviously a lot more folks there. I think we had fewer conversations, it felt like, at the booth on the opening night, but I think it's better to have it there. I think it just opens up a little bit more, at least more, customer interaction conversation than out on the lawn where it's hard to determine who is who without, grabbing their name badge and looking at it. You kind of know where you stand. So yeah. And historically, that's where it has always been. I mean, there was a lot of pushback even internally. Like, I know Mikhail was like, it was a big deal that it wasn't going to be, that the opening reception wasn't going to be in the expo hall, because it normally has. And they feel like it's a good opportunity.
Oh, for last year?
Again. When they showed it last year, it was like, it's not going to be in the expo. There, people were like, oh no, this is awful. So, I think, it's probably better on the expo floor. It keeps everybody, again, more touch points for the sponsors and the vendors and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anything else stand out? We're getting, close up to the end of our podcast here. Anything else stand out, but, that, about the event that?
No, just honestly, genuinely positive experience. I think my only real complaint that I had was anytime I tried to go get water from one of those dispensers, they were always just empty.
They were always changing them out too. I did learn how to change them. So a couple of times I'd walk up and somebody's like, oh, it's out of water, but there's a giant 5-gallon jug sitting next to it. And I was like, you can't just turn it upside down on top. They got no top. But I saw a guy changing it. It really opened up, and it really was just like a tube stuck down in the bottle. So it was all pressure. There was nothing mechanical about it. It was all just, basic physics. So I replaced one at some point. I saw it sitting there. I opened it up and just swept it out.
Should have been next to you when that happened. Then I would have had so much more water.
You told me next year, I'll give you a 911. You can give me a 911 call. I'll run to wherever you are and make sure you're hydrated.
Yeah, because you definitely have the free time to do that during stuff like their body.
Hey man, I'm here to serve the community in whatever capacity, whether or not it's programming sessions or replacing water, whatever it takes, I'm there.
Or networking.
Cool.
Literally.
Yeah, I think it was a great event. Yeah, happy to see it come back like this. Looking forward to San Antonio. It's going to be exciting to see what that, we were talking about it, I did look ahead. There is a convention center in San Antonio, and it is downtown right next to the Riverwalk. So I hope that's where we're going to be, because that'll be another cool experience. It's really close to the Alamo, so we can remember that, and we can, check out all the other fun stuff around downtown San Antonio.
So what you're saying is we're going to have an Alamo party next year?
I was trying to figure it out. We'd have to. I don't think you can rent the Alamo, but we could try.
The only way you can remember is if you rent it.
That's the only way. Yeah, I'm trying to figure. We need to have a Pee Wee Herman themed party. Write that down.
Cool.
Well,
yeah, thank you everyone for joining us once again. We hope everyone had a restful weekend after the busy week. And you may have been seeing our little banner going across the bottom of the screen. If you haven't heard of Tech Connect, make sure to check it out. The link will be in the comment of this post to learn more, and maybe you'll like to join us on November 15th and 16th in Dayton, Ohio. So thanks again for joining us, and until next time, bye guys.
Thanks, Savannah. Thanks, Trevor.